I had to ask the financial advisor. Um,
Undocked from junction. We're clear.
okay, you're on the Leopard's. You're on the Leopard's Bridge with Sunmeyer, Yang, and Darius for the daily staff briefing. Darius says we received 3 messages from the banks. Loan sharks. Surmeyer cuts in. From the people who are financing us, Darius continues, they're considering rewriting the terms of our loans. It'll be easier to seize the ship if we miss a payment. As usual, they're only doing this because they believe we can't fight it in court. So we can talk banks, I guess. Your company has gained the following tags. Loan status fair.
Now entering synchronous orbit.
Do I taste good, Bella? Revived. Ready to proceed with our current proceed. Actually back.
You need some work done, Commander?
Got a few questions about the Mech Bay. Okay, Mech Bay. Beyond each cubicle holding one battle mech, not much. It's all about capacity. The more mech bays we have, the more mechs we can keep battle ready. And the more mechs we can have battle ready, the more flexibility you have in deployment options. Tutorial mech storage. Why use mech storage? Thank you, Ashley. A few reasons. First, we have limited capacity in the mech bay, so we need to store the overstock for eventual sale or use in the future. Second, we don't pay upkeep cost on mechs and storage. That's a business thing, though, not my department. Third, and this is important, whenever we pick up a partial mech salvage from the battlefield, I put it in storage for you. Are you happy, girl? If we gather by enough partial mech salvage to complete a battle mech chassis, my team will assemble it right away. Let me know if you want to keep it in storage or have it ready for combat. Battle mechs are expensive as hell, so assembling one out salvage is our best bet for expanding our roster. When you send a mech chassis into storage, our mech techs dismount all its weapons and equipment and place them in your inventory for use on other chassis. A chassis can stay in storage indefinitely, and don't worry about storage capacity, boss. I'll make it fit, don't you worry. She's gonna be very... Yes, she is. One of my favorite topics. In the mech bay, you can browse all the equipment we have available in our inventory. There are 2 types of components I can install on battle mech: weapons and equipment. Tell me about ballistic weapons. Ballistic weapons, such as the autocannon, pack a good punch, generate little heat, and can destabilize an enemy if they hit it enough. But ballistic weapons are, you know, ballistic, so they require ammo, and ammo can explode if hit in combat, which is bad news all around. Ballistic weapons are also pretty heavy and take up a lot of space on the mech. Strengths and weaknesses, boss. Strengths and weaknesses. Been tired of your in and out, dog. Tell me about energy weapons. Energy weapons don't use any ammo, but they generate a lot of heat. You may need to invest in additional heat sinks to keep your mech cool if you choose an energy-heavy loadout. Missile weapons. Missile weapons are my favorites. Yeah, they require ammo and generate moderate heat, but the pounding they deliver can destabilize an enemy faster than most of our weapons, and having multiple projectiles in a shot means you almost always guaranteed at least a single hit. Long-range missiles are also capable of indirect fire. If one of your units has a line of sight on the enemy, it can act as a spotter for an LRM-equipped units that don't. With a spotter, a mech equipped with LRMs can stay behind cover and targets missiles to hit the enemy. A spotter can increase your launcher's effective range too. Granted, the enemy can do the same to you, but that's someone else's problem. Support weapons. Support weapons are lighter than the others, small lasers, machine guns, that kind of thing. I programmed our targeting computers to automatically fire them after a melee attack if they're activated. Tell me about the other types of equipment you can refit on a mech. It's a big list, boss. I suggest you check out the store every system we travel to. You never know what you'll find. I can install stronger cockpits to reduce the injuries our mech warriors will take, arm actuators that increase melee damage, rangefinders that increase the range at which enemies can be visually acquired, all sorts of stuff. I'll take up critical slots on a battle mech. Some add weight too. Keep your eye open for them and give them good once over before you buy one so you know what you're getting into. Now, putting powerful weapons and equipment on your mechs is fine and all, but remember the trade-offs is always armor. You know how they say the best defense is a strong offense. I heard that some manufacturers have developed better versions of some weapons. True that. Different manufacturers tweak their weapons to deliver more damage, have higher accuracy, destabilize the enemy, a bunch of stuff. The trick is finding them. They're rare out here in the periphery, so when I see one in a store or salvage point, I'll always mark it with a plus for you so you can identify it easily. Let me ask you something else. How to repair a mech damage it. There we go. Whenever you return from a mission, stop by a mech bay here and tell me which mechs you want to have repaired. I'm not going to assume anything. You run this outfit, so tell me what you want to spend time and money on. Okay, that's not completely true. If I see armor is missing from a battle mech, I'm going to repair it automatically. It's standard operating procedure. We have so much scrap armor lying around that you should consider armor repairs to be free. Now, if you tell me to repair a mech containing destroyed equipment, the tech will strip that off automatically too. I'll list the equipment they strip, but if you're gonna want to replace it with something. What if I want to change mech's loadout? Can I refit with new weapons and equipment? Oh, now you're talking, boss. You bet you can refit a mech. You can repair it at the same time too. Just select a battle mech in order to be refit, then bring it to the mech lab. What can I do in the mech lab? The mech lab is where you let me know what sorts of modifications you want to make to our stable of battle mechs. I can install new weapons and equipment, add or remove armor, location by location, pretty much anything you want. All takes time and money. We've got plenty of both, right? Limits on how I can refit a mech. It's hardware digger bit. Of course there are limits. Your biggest constraints are the chassis, weights, and hard points. I can't make a mech as heavy as I want. Negative. A mech's chassis can support only so much tonnage in weapons, armor, and equipment, so you need to keep its overall weight in mind when designing a battle mech's loadout. If your design is over a chassis' weight rating, we can't accept the work order. Now there are ways of making things fit, of course. Trade-offs can be made, but you've got to be careful. We have the ability to remove armor from individual locations in order to squeeze more bigger weapons in, but less armor is less armor. You don't want to wind up with something that'll blow over in a strong breeze. Trust me on that. I've seen it happen more often than enough to know. What's a hard point again? Each location on a battle mech contains one or more weapon mounts called hard points. Hard points are only designed for one specific weapon type: ballistic, energy, missile, and support. However, most mechs contain locations with more than one hard point, so you'll have some flexibility in what you can mount there. Go back a minute. How do I know what a mech is good at in the first place? Great question. There's a lot of different battle mechs out there, and it's hard to know what they were built to do best just by looking at them. I mean, I can, of course, but I'm me. You, on the other hand, are going to need some help. Thankfully, I'm a helpful guy. If you check your technical readouts in the mech lab, you'll find I've included some of the thoughts about each mech's off-the-rack purpose, or stock role. There are only options, mind you, but you might find them useful. What happens after I order a refit? Once you confirm your work order, it'll be placed in a queue with the other repairs and refits on your timeline. Remember, a mech will be unavailable for combat until its work order is complete, so plan your refits carefully. I suggest queuing them up before we head to the next system, or use our travel time efficiently. If you want to change a mech's placement in the work queue, select manage tasks under the timeline, or reprioritize or cancel work orders. How long do repairs and refits normally take? Depends on the mech bay and conditions you're working in. A good mech bay with advanced scaffolding and equipment is faster than the one you'll find on standard Leopard. You seem to know your way around a battlefield, gang. Any advice? Sure, the better you lead in combat, the less work I have when it's over. Let's talk about heat. I can't emphasize this enough. Watch your heat. Your mech warriors are sitting on walking fusion reactors out there. Using jump jets and firing weapons generates heat, sometimes lots of it. If one of your mechs gets too hot, it can do damage to its internal structure, or worse, shut down the engine in the middle of combat, leaving it in a sitting duck. How can I affect heat? Each weapon system on a battle mech can be toggled on or off each time it takes an action. Most mech warriors keep their heat low by toggling off weapons with lower chances to hit. But sometimes you'll have a solid chance to hit with everything in your arsenal. That's when you've got to experiment by toggling a few off to make sure you stay below the red line. How can I make it more heat efficient? Note your mech's heat rating in the mech lab and install more heat sinks on it if you find it's running hot in combat. Heat sinks vent plasma from the mech's engine and do a lot to dissipate the buildup from jump jets and weapon fire. Heat sinks are your friend. You can obviously change the weapons to mech to more heat-friendly parts, but obviously that'll change how you use the mech in combat. Trade-offs, boss, and all about trade-offs. Oh, I forgot to cap the peanut butter, and that almost fell. Okay. You already have peanut butter. You don't get any more. You already had some. Mech stability. Yeah, stability is a smart thing for a commander to understand, boss. Getting pummeled by a weapon fire is a good way for a mech to become destabilized. Walking over rough terrain doesn't help much either. Destabilized mechs can't sprint in combat, and they're vulnerable to falling if hit hard enough while in that state. Tell me about how my battle mech's less vulnerable to weapon fire. There's a few ways I can think of: evasion, cover, and bracing. Yeah. Let's hear about evasion. The short-term version of this: the further the unit goes, the more evasive it becomes. Shooting a moving target is hard, and shooting a faster target is harder. When you order a mech to move in combat, note the number of angled chevrons your command software assigns it. The more chevrons that are displayed, the harder it will be to hit. Same for the enemy. Cover. Battle mechs are kind of big, aren't they? Yep, they're big and scary and dangerous, and they'll be harder to hit standing in forests and other terrain features. Standing behind buildings or hills is good. If the enemy can't see you, they're going to have a hard time hitting you. It's about line of sight. Don't think about it. Think about it. Think about it all the time. Your enemy is, I guarantee it. If they can see you, a little red eyeball will appear above them in your command software. Tell me about brace my mech, but that doesn't make it harder to hit. No, bracing your mech won't make it harder to hit, but it should buffer some of the damage you'll take by half or so. Think about it, eh? Tell me about yourself. That's a long story, boss. Short version I can give you: I signed on after I served my term in the Third Succession War fighting Capitalism Confederation. Kaplan Confederation. If you want to know more, you can ask whatever you want, otherwise let's get back to talking shop. Where are you from originally? Bryant in the Confederation. You may have heard of our claim to fame, the Crowley Lizard Cow. No? Well, trust me, they're delicious. Anyway, as the story goes, Bryant was a really nice place once, a tourist spot, big with hikes and fishing enthusiasts, pale blue skies, emerald green seas, and blooming agricultural business. You know, the works. I never knew it that way, though. Sophian... Oh, I'm not gonna read that. Got to a couple centuries before I was born, and well, that was that. As the story goes, Bryant used to have these enormous orbital mirrors, storm inhibitors, as they call them, the Star League. Put them in place with Armorists, took the system in Civil War. He had troops use them for target practice. Without those mirrors, Bryant reverted to its natural state, a miserable little ball of windblown dirt, actively hostile to human life. By the time I came along, the only places where people could live in relative safety were the planet's poles. Of course, you can't fit a planet's entire population into a handful of cities and its poles. There isn't enough space, no matter how far down you dig and how tall you build. A lot of people, mostly the poor, died in the early days. There's still a lot of overcrowding in Bryant cities even now. There's a lot of reading. Tell me about your time in the military. Who'd you serve with? The 2nd St. Ives Lancers, 1st Battalion under the Major Ling. We saw more action than most. The arm is a souvenir of my time in the service. I lost the original back in 3010 on St. Louis. You know, when we first arrived at St. Louis, I loved the place. It's an You coming in or not? Architectural world, sort of bread baskets and the neighboring systems, green fields, rolling hills, you get the picture. We just walked out of hell on Kittery, and the Fed rats drove us out in 05. Yeah. Come on. Come. There you go. I'll walk you in a bit. Thank you. The Fed rats drove us out in '05 with our tails between our legs, so it looked like paradise to us. I remember kicking back in the mech bay, my feet propped up on engine blocks, sipping on a sniffer of something. Not a bad way to spend a sunny afternoon. Anyway, turned out the Federated Sons weren't done with us yet. We weren't barely a month into our deployment when they sent the SETI Hussars to burn us out. I'm sure that there were some sound strategic reasons for the House Davian to want St. Louris, but it sure felt personal to me. Long story short, one of their scouts managed to slip through our perimeter and hit my mech bay. I was tinkering around in Centurion's custom-made rumble seat at the time. Being surrounded by all that armor is the only reason I made it out alive. Still, I didn't make it out unscathed. I lost 2 of my favorite assistants and my own right arm, and got this ugly thing grabbed onto my arm as a reminder. And yet, here I am doing mercenary work for a living. Some people never learn, huh? Why'd you leave the Confederation? After my tour duty was up, you mean? I don't know, it was just time for a change. Besides, the place wasn't for me anymore. In a way, it never really was. I learned a lot from my time in the service. Got a first-hand view of the elitist bullshit that saturates Capellian culture, how it rewinds highborn idiots in the common people's expense. Speaking as a thoroughly common man, that didn't sit right with me. When my tour was over, I packed up my things and made a beeline for the periphery. Seemed like a good place as any to find a new beginning. Never really get away from the aristocracy. Yang, hell, I was born a noble. Yeah, but you're a competent noble, and you aren't afraid to get your hands dirty. At the end of the day, that's all that I really care about. I wonder how many times I watch talented engineers get passed over for promotion so some idiot with a title could advance. Too many to count. For what it's worth, I'm glad you made that choice. You brought my mech back from the brink more than once. Way more than once if memory serves. Still, I appreciate the kind words, and for what it's worth, I'm happy to be here with this crew. Going career military would have been an enormous mistake. In your position, I probably would have done the same. Let's talk about something else. Something else? I've got to go. Talk to you later.
Come back anytime.
Days? Shit. Unused tonnage? What do you mean unused tonnage? Guess I'll do that. Large lasers. Oh, it's over. It's allowed tonnage. Okay. Hey, squirrel. I can do 2 more tons. Okay. One. Where does it tell me what the tons are for this? I just started like almost 4 hours ago. Where does it tell me how much something frickin' weighs? Oh, tonnage. Okay, I see it. 5 tonnage. Tonnage 1. Oh, I still can't do that. I guess I'll do that. 16 days. Confirm. Repair. Install component. Confirm.
On it. I'll let you know when that's done.
Out of action, work in progress, financial report. Yeah, I know. I won't have time for a mission, but I can look at various things. I'll be playing it next week too, Squirrel. I only managed through a couple missions. Yeah, next week. Probably Saturday. Yeah, I'm going soon anyway. I got work. Okay, so that's customized company. Okay.
Receiving you.
Good to go.
Redeem. Oh, thank you. Yeah, sorry. What else? Command center.
I'm all ears, Commander.
I can do that later.
I'll see you.
Reading takes a while. The store. Oh yeah, the store. Wow, that's all expensive. I have like no money for that shit. Yep, that was... Where the hell's my phone? There it is. Okay. Oh, I'm pretty sure I will. I'm pretty sure I'll blow it every chance I get. We'll just call it here.